Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's Sean of Math Swap Tutoring, the owner and lead tutor. And today we're going to talk about the Algebra 1 concept of absolute value. This is very easy, very straightforward. And I do my best to illustrate the easiness of it. So let's go ahead and pull up this whiteboard real quick and see what we got going on. All right, absolute value. So let's write this down here. All right, so very good. So absolute value is basically the distance of a number from zero. Okay, that's all absolute value is. The distance a number is from the number zero. And it's very clearly seen with a number line. So let's draw a number line here. So we're going back to elementary school with this one. So say you have a number line, there's zero. You know, when you go in the right direction away from the zero, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. If you go the opposite direction, to the left, it's going to be -1, -2, -3, and so on and so forth. Now, say that we picked the number 3. Okay. So how far is the number 3 away from zero? That's 1, 2, 3 spots. So note, yes, the number 3 is the number -3 is a negative number, but we're not talking about now the number itself. We are talking about the absolute value of the number, how far away it is from zero. The absolute value will always be a positive number because we're talking about the distance away from zero. So we count 1, 2, 3. Okay. So to illustrate a point, how far away is +3 from zero? 1, 2, 3. So check that out. So +3 is also 3 away from zero. Okay, so check this out. So let us write this here. So usually, well, not usually, period. Whenever you're talking absolute value, whenever you're trying to find absolute value, you'll notice in a absolute value problem that it is denoted by two parallel vertical bars with the number in between there. Okay. All right. So you would say when you see this, it's asking you what is the absolute value of -3. So the absolute value of -3, as we said, is 3. What is the absolute value of +3? That is 3 as well. So note that. So the absolute value of a negative number is always going to be positive. The absolute value of a positive number is always going to be positive. The absolute value of a number, a negative number, and its opposite number are going to be the same thing. These are kind of straightforward, very easily seen just by basic illustration. So let's just give a few more examples to illustrate a few more things about absolute value. In this video, we'll be done. Short and sweet. Okay, let me erase this right here. All right, so what is the absolute value? Uh-oh, I don't want that color anymore. I want to get good old black. All right. All right, so what is the absolute value of -0.22? Oops. Absolute value, not parentheses. It is positive 0.22. That's the distance away from zero. Okay. What is the absolute value of -5/9? +5/9. Easy enough. Okay. How about the absolute value of -5 over the absolute value of 9? it is also 5/9. So note that the absolute value of something divided by something is the same as the absolute value of the first number divided by the absolute value of the second number. Some people list these as properties. I don't really feel like I need to because they're very easily seen if you just work the problem. All right, so let's keep on going. I'll use some of this other space over here. What is the absolute value of, let's put some problems inside the absolute value. What's the absolute value of -4 plus 1? 4 plus, so you kind of treat it just like parentheses in this case. Sorry, I'm hitting this microphone here. You do what's inside the absolute value first. So -4 plus 1 is -3. So that's -3. Then the absolute value of -3 is just 3. All right, let's take it a little further. What is the absolute value of 4 plus the absolute value of 1? All right, so the absolute value of 4 is 4, and the absolute value of 1 is 1. So that becomes 5. So note that same numbers, but when you move that absolute value around, it shows that it's not necessarily going to be the same thing to do an addition problem inside parentheses versus separating each of those numbers out and then doing that addition problem outside. So don't assume that if you have a problem inside of the absolute value, that's going to be the same as if you broke it up in the absolute value brackets. Okay. All right, let's take this a little bit further, and I have some notes here I'm referring to. Okay, so what is the absolute value, the negative absolute value of -50? So just be careful. Again, treat these like parentheses, like this is being a -1 multiplied times this quantity here. So the absolute value of -50 is 50, but then there's a negative here. So that means that negative on the outside stays the same, and then the absolute value of this is 50. So the answer is -50. Okay. And last but not least, what is the absolute value of 3 times -2? Inside of there, you have -6, and the absolute value of -6 is 6. What about the absolute value of 3 times the absolute value of -2? That becomes 3 times 2, and that's also 6. So the same way we were able to see in division, it goes the same for multiplication. If you break that absolute value into the separate numbers, it ends up being the exact same value. And there you go. There is absolute value. Very straightforward. Yeah, the distance of a number away from 0 is always going to be positive. Okay. If you need to watch this, watch it a few times, get a clear understanding. Make sure you share this with your peers. Make sure you share it with other parents. And if you need tutoring, make sure that you go to mathswaptutoring.com and you can see how to sign up. You can also go directly to calendly.com/mathswaptutoring to set up your tutoring free consultation, or you can call 478-254-0515. Okay. And finally, if you want these notes on these sessions that I do for my videos, then you can subscribe at mathswaptutoring.com/subscribe. And what happens is you will receive a link to a page of downloads where you can actually download the notes that I use whenever I make these videos. Okay. Make sure you share. I love math. I hope I help you to love math as well, because it's very useful. And subscribe to this channel as well, y'all. Okay. All right. Thank y'all for joining, and have a good one.